How many questions do you think you've asked today? I wonder if you can actually think back and remember what the last question was that you asked today. I'm doing some reading this week about questioning and the usefulness and power of questioning in coaching, and I read some research that said that the average 4-year-old will ask somewhere between 200 to 300 questions per day. So I take my hat off to anybody who works with children who are that age. My daughter-in-law is a reception age teacher, and they must have the patience of saints to cope with that many questions in a day. And if you've ever had children of that age, I guess that will ring true for you. I also read that between the ages of 2 and 5, the average child will ask something like 40,000 questions, which is an awful lot of questions. Hi there, my name is Pete Last, and you join me for week 11 of my year in the life of an executive coach, and I'm going to spend the next few weeks thinking about questions and how and why coaches use questions and questioning as part of the coaching process. And I'm going to start with something that's quite common, certainly quite common in teaching about coaching. It's sometimes referred to as the 4 cornerstones of questioning. Because it's important to realise that when you're working with a client, and certainly I've realised this very quickly working with clients, that a client is bringing to a session, they're bringing ideas, they're bringing feelings, they're bringing actions, and they're bringing all of that with them to the session with me. So it's important that I'm asking the right sorts of questions. And the 4 cornerstones of questioning really just take us into 4 very simple areas. The first one is often referred to as history or histories. So a useful question I might ask a client is if they're posing a problem and maybe expressing frustration with a problem. My question might be, well, how have you dealt with this previously? So getting them to reflect on their previous behaviour, their previous actions, their previous responses to particular situations. So you've got the histories element. The second cornerstone is sometimes just referred to as consequences. So again, a client might be describing frustrations in their team that they lead. Perhaps things aren't going quite as they wish they were at the moment. So my question might be along the lines of, well, how do your reactions affect the other members of your team? So getting them to really think about the consequences of something that they, the client, are doing, which may be having a negative impact on other members of their team. The third cornerstone is just really to give them a bit of perspective and to draw back a little bit and take a look at what's sometimes called the bigger picture. So again, a question I might often ask a client, especially in the early stages of a coaching relationship, is, well, what's expected of you compared to your teammates, your other team members? Just trying to understand the bigger picture, the context within which my client is operating, so that I can then begin to drill down with my questions to help and support their development. And the last of the 4 cornerstones is really just the assumptions. I say just because they're actually very important, but the assumptions that are either implicit in what my client might be saying or sometimes explicit, and getting them to really think about those assumptions. So I might ask a question like, what do you think would happen if you did this? It's hypothetical. But what do you think might happen if you did it? You took this course, or if you took this course, what might be the outcomes for you and your team members? So questioning is incredibly useful for coaches, and sometimes in some sessions I will ask a question and then I may not speak for another 10 or 15 minutes because my client will then be thinking it through and unpacking and just exploring verbally with me what that question has brought up in their head. And my job there is to listen really carefully. I make notes. That's just how my brain works and how I like to work. I make notes, and at the end of that time I try to summarize what I think the client has said to me and just repeat that back to them, just to make sure I'm understanding what it is they're trying to say to me. But questioning is really powerful, and obviously a fundamental tool for a coach, and certainly I'm finding as I begin this journey of coaching as my full-time career, I'm discovering that I'm asking a lot of questions, and I'm learning a lot about the different types of questions and how they elicit particular responses from my clients. So I'm going to come back to that next week. I want to spend a few weeks thinking about questioning, because I've been thinking about it a lot. So I'm going to explore different aspects and angles of questioning. But maybe just, go away and have a think. Spare a thought for those teachers of 4 and 5-year-olds dealing with between 200 and 300 questions a day. If you're a parent, then hey, I guess you know that already. Good luck. Thanks for joining me for this week, and see you next week for week 12.